In this video, I'm going to show you how to do front brakes on a Jeep Patriot, located on the front axles. So with a 19mm socket, we're going to remove the tire. If your tire is frozen on, always put a lug nut back on partially by hand tight. Give it a bang. Now I like to turn the wheel so I have better access to my caliper mounting when I do brakes. So I'm going to turn it all the way to the left here, and now I can clearly see both mounting spots. I'm going to take my boot off the bleeder, dust boot. I'm going to set that aside. And the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that bleeder screw breaks free. And that looks like an 8mm. With a catch basin, I'm going to put the catch basin below my caliper so I can break that bleeder screw free so I can confirm I'll be able to bleed it after. Nice. Now it's loose enough. Just snug it so it doesn't drip while you're working. And we're going to dismount our caliper. Two mounting bolts right here are 14mm sockets. I'll just break them free. Then I'll get my electric 3/8 gun, make it go faster. Now when you remove a pin, sometimes some cars come equipped with pins and rubber boots. So make sure you know which pin the rubber boot came with. This one is missing, so we'll check, make sure it didn't get stuck in the caliper bracket. But the pin goes on the bottom for this particular car. Take the top bolt out. Now with a pry bar, I'm just going to back this caliper off. And I'm just going to set it up here for a little bit. Take my pads out. Now we're going to take our caliper and we're going to put our caliper spreader tool in. You can use a pair of welding pliers, like the big locking pliers with a clamp or a C-clamp. If you don't have this tool, you want to make sure that piston works and goes back, just so that you're doing a proper brake job and you know that all the things are working properly. Now, I particularly like to open the bleeder screw. That's why I broke it free. Just enough, so when I push the fluid back, the dirty fluid doesn't go into the master or an ABS module. Now my catch basin's right below me. I'm just going to push that piston back and judge how it feels, nice and smooth. That's what we're looking for. Okay, that bottomed out. Just close your bleeder screw. That was an 8mm wrench, just like the socket. Now the piston's back perfectly, and we can get that up out of the way. If you have a caliper hook, go ahead and use it at this time. Help suspend that and make it not put stress on that actual flex hose. I'll just hang mine from the strut. There we go. Now we're going to dismount our caliper bracket. And that's two bolts at the back there and their 18mm socket. Get the top one. Now we can set that aside and we'll clean it up later. Let's discard the rotor. All right, before I put my new rotor on, I'm going to spray my hub so that it has no corrosion, possibly. I don't want to deal with that in the future. I'll take our new rotor and put it on. So now we're going to clean up our bracket so we can put the brakes back together. Discard the old hardware because you get new ones with our kits. And now we're going to take a wire brush and clean the surface here. You want to make sure all the rust is gone, any dust or debris. This is in good shape, actually. It's just taking off some of the road rust. You know, there's no chunks. It's not peeling. Do that to both sides. Spray it with some brake clean, let it dry. While that's drying, we're going to examine our boots, make sure that the caliper boots are in good shape. They're not swollen, no tears in them. And we're going to take our silicone paste or caliper grease, whichever you prefer, and we're going to load up the boots. And I just take a pocket screwdriver and I'll bring it right down inside the boot. And I want to get it all inside the groove of the boot. Keeps it flexible, and it also applies to the actual pin once it slides back and forth when you go down the road. We'll be putting paste on the pin once we clean it up. Now we're going to take I like to put silicone grease because it's waterproof in caliper or caliper grease on the bottom of the tins, not the top. Do both the top and bottom. And this stops water from building in here and causing those tins to swell and put pressure on the pads. Now I don't put grease on the top of the tins because they're brand new. I want to keep them shiny and moving smoothly. Grease will only attract dirt or brake dust, and then it will never let the pads slide in and out freely. So we'll take our tins, bracket tins, and apply them. In this case, there is no top and bottom. They're both the same size. Some vehicles you'll see one wider than the other, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So before we put this bracket on, we have the rubber pieces missing off the pin. Now if this is on the car, it's the bottom pin. So I'm going to take that boot completely out, and I'm going to go in there and see if I can fish out the rubber piece. And there it is, I can feel it. So I ended up getting a hook because the pocket screwdriver wouldn't work. Well, there it is. So it pays to make sure if it is gone on the pin that it's inside there. So we'll clean these pins up, remount this, and put it together. So now we're going to put our boot back on, and you just basically take that big spacer and you're just going to drop it in, and it miraculously pops right into place. Now we'll take our pins, and these are in great shape, so all I did was take a rag and kind of clean them off. We have that boot. We're going to slide that right on there, set it aside, and I just, like I said, you could take a wire wheel to them if they need to, but these are in great shape. We'll set them aside. Now we can install the bracket. So now we're back at the wheel. We're putting our caliper bracket on, line it up, put the first mounting bolt through. There we go. Start it by hand. Now with our 17mm socket, we're going to snug them up. So we're taking that 17mm socket and our torque wrench, and the torque for bracket to knuckle on these two bolts is 80 foot-pounds. And just double check. So now when we install our pads, we have these indicators. These are like spring and noise indicators. Tells you when the pad is at the minimal. So the proper way to install those is, this would be the outer pad, fits right in that bracket, but you want to put the sensor on, and you want to put it on the point of the first contact. So the rotor goes this way 90% of the time. So therefore you would put this pin, or shall I say indicator, right in that groove with the flat piece facing the pad. So just like that, pop it down in. And then you take your brake pad and put it in. Same on the other side. It's going to go on the top, not on the bottom. First contact. That would be the top. Line it up. Slide it in. So I'm going to take my slider pins and I'm going to put some silicone or caliper grease, whichever you prefer. Just coat them. We've already filled the boots. And now I'm going to get that caliper and mount it up. So I put it on the hook up here. Let's get it off the hook. Let's make sure that hose is facing the proper way because it gets twisted sometimes. Then we'll line up the caliper, put it right on. The top pin is the one without the rubber bushing on this particular caliper. So we'll slide that right in. Let the air out. Sometimes air gets in that boot. Hand start it. And the bottom one has that rubber pin on it. If the boot looks like that, just reach your finger in there and just line it up. Then you can slide the pin in and then hand start it. That's that 14 millimeter socket we're going to get and snug it up. So I'll just let them bottom out. 14 millimeter socket, and the torque for caliper to bracket is 32 foot-pounds. Try it one more time. Okay, so now we're going to gravity bleed our caliper because we pushed that piston back. So we're just going to take an 8 millimeter wrench or socket. Got a catch basin underneath, and we're just going to let that gravity bleed, make sure all the air bubbles come out. Takes about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so we've been bleeding, gravity bleeding for like almost 10 minutes. Looks good. Snug that up. Put that dust boot back on. We'll get some brake clean, clean that area. And then we're ready to go for a road test. Now we can put our tire back on. Just hand start the lug nuts. That's a 19 millimeter socket. We're just going to snug it up before we torque it and do it in a star pattern. Okay, now we can lower it and torque it to specs. Wheel torque is 100 foot-pounds. We're going to torque it in a star pattern. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.